presentation and remain standing for the pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Most holy and glorious Lord God, the giver of all good gifts and graces, we thank you tonight for your watch, care, and protection over us. Lord, we ask that you lift up our military and our first responders, be with them during this time of trouble. And all this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first is reports and presentations. Is Cindy here from the Senior Citizen Center? I don't see her. Okay, Mr. Hammock is unable to come tonight. I'll report for him that they fixed 26 water leaks this month so far. Only 10 of those were service lines, the rest of them were water mains.
Hey, do you not have any minutes?
We don't have any minutes from the last meeting because it was a marathon, and Dr. Hilton hasn't finished them yet. I think she's on page 9. I am on page 9. So, Ron Rogers, would you like to come give your report?
Good evening. This last month, well, tonight we got one on Grove Street we need you to look at. Next month, I'm gonna send you 2 more, ordinance 630s to look at. We've had 15 ordinance 756, which is weed lots, and they're all caught up and in good shape. That's all I've got tonight.
Thank you, Brian.
Mr. Peters.
Yes, sir. Mr. Rogers, did you receive another from? Did you receive another from the Evans?
From who?
The Evans.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Got them right here.
Thank you.
Okay, Anita is also in, I think she's at some kind of conference. She sent an email about the Bird Scooter Company. So if you all read that, then you've got that information, and the memorandum of understanding is in your packet, so we'll get to that when we get to that on the agenda. Unless anybody's got any other questions that she's not here to answer. Okay, next is Police Chief Jason Akers.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here with you guys. Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all healthy. You got your statistics for the month of July, and you found a packet when you came in, hopefully, that's got our 2-year statistics. As you know, we started keeping statistics in June or July of 2019, and I want to go over those real quick with you to kind of, it gives you the total of our activities and kind of what we've done. I'm a firm believer in data-driven policing, and this is some things that I think is important for our community. You know, on the first page in the book that you'll see is our court papers served. You can see the averages there. Those are subpoenas, and those are arrest warrants and things like that. The average for our monthly service for the officers is around 40 papers per month. The second page you're going to see, which is a big deal to everybody in Monticello, you know, you come for the food and you stay because you had an accident. It used to be kind of our motto. So if you look between July 2019 and July 2021, you'll see the accidents, our monthly totals of our accidents. Now, Mr. McCray and Mr. James, we discussed this in the past, and their estimate on an accident is anywhere from $10 to very conservatively $10,000 per accident, unless y'all think that has changed, maybe a little higher than that. And on the next page, you'll see that our traffic accidents have been reduced in the last 2 years from the highest number when we started was 62 accidents a month, and you look at that chart, and that tells you what our accidents are now. So we've had a 44% reduction from the highest number to what is now our monthly average. Now, this includes private property accidents, and we're working on some ways to sort through that. We can't really change private property accidents. Okay, that's when people back in each other at Walmart or in a parking lot or whatever. We think the reduction just comes from a more visible police presence, from the enforcement of traffic laws, and we've received a great response from our community in saying, hey, thank you for slowing traffic down on bowling. As Mr. Wiggly and I can attest, we have an issue there sometimes, and in certain neighborhoods where people were concerned about the kids playing in the yard. So we're hoping to have a little bit more in-depth number on that later on, but that's good news. Our domestics, you'll see on the next page, we had a high roughly in the 20s. It was our averages back in 2019, 20 a month. And you'll see on the next page that we have domestic incidents have decreased 70% from that time from the high to the average per month. We attribute that to effective communication with courts and to effective prosecution, and the fact that there's some other things in play that you'll see on the next graph from July 2019 to July 2021, which is a 2-year comparison. Now you'll see the red lines are our blue. Arrests go up, which is aggressive, proactive law enforcement that's not just waiting for things to happen. That's going out and finding the criminal acts and arresting for them. When those things happen, you see what the chart clearly shows happens to your domestics. And if you look at that, you'll see when there is a spike in arrests, that there is a decrease in domestic incidents and calls, domestic disturbances. Domestic disturbances are one of the biggest problems that society faces. It's when children are impacted the most. It's when children get post-traumatic stress disorder. It's when they have their interactions with law enforcement, whether positive or negative. That's a big deal. And so when you see that, here's the data, and I've told you guys this in the past, and I keep it in my office. You're welcome to see the original reports that come in from the officers. If you need to see the data yourself, if you'd like to, you're welcome to come by anytime and look through it. It's a bunch of paper, but it's worth it. But there's our 2-year comparison. So when you see this, and you see based on that chart, when our proactive policing nets us 20 to 25 felony arrests a month, then it can consistently reduce the domestic violence that comes with crime. So that means that typically your felonious acts are connected with the domestic issues at home. And whether it's through incarceration or whether it's through whatever, but they definitely correlate between the two. 2 years totals on our miles driven is pretty consistent. The average on that is, well, I don't have the average on that. You have to just look at it. But we can figure, that you look at the charts and you see we have a couple of peak months there where we have one of those is schools, and we'll have some extra people on that are maybe typically at the school that are out in the fleet with patrol guys. Calls for service, our average calls for service over a 2-year period are roughly 1,206 a month. But it shows you kind of when our peak times are, and you can tell kind of when COVID hit, you can see a lot of trends there. We didn't have as many calls for service during that time. You would think that maybe we would, but we didn't. I guess people were at home and just not feeling it. Citizen assists, you'll see over the course of the 2 years, our average citizen assist calls are about 111 a month. Now that's not necessarily a call per se. That may be an officer going down the road and sees a car on the side of the road that needs a flat changed, and he gets out and changes the flat. Or Lieutenant West case, somebody's at the eye doctor and then goes to the grocery store waiting on an appointment and their battery dies. And so we go and we help them get the car started or get it out of the road or whatever. Our reports taken, you'll see that is average 102 a month. You'll see some spikes during the course of that, and the mayor and I were discussing this today as to what constitutes a report being taken. Now that may be a theft. That may be something as simple as someone needing to have something documented. Maybe a suspicious act around their house, or they've lost a debit card, or they've lost jewelry, and they don't think anybody stole it, but they want to go ahead and have a report for insurance. So that's that includes everything that requires an officer to sit there in front of a computer for 20, 15, 20, 30 minutes and enter that into the system. So that's how many of those are done a month on average. Our fine intake, you can see the charting there. When COVID hit, you'll notice right after COVID hit, we had a dip in our fine intake. We were interacting less on traffic situations. There's no need for unnecessary interaction with the public or with the law enforcement officers. Our next is our citations. We have, you can again see where COVID hit, And when COVID let up, you see a spike going up. Citations issued by year, and we went back 4 years, all right, just so we could have some good data. Over a period of 4 years, citations have increased roughly 182%. So you can take that as it is. We have gotten, like I said, we've gotten an enormous positive response from members of our community who say thank you for coming in our area, slowing the traffic down where I can let my kids play in the yard. And sometimes you can write warnings all you want, and you can give warnings all you want, but sometimes you have to write a ticket, especially as it relates to just, acts that are really just dangerous. Our misdemeanor arrests, you can see that we had a significant spike in August of 19, and then the numbers gradually tapered off, and they're really relatively consistent. Our felony arrests, you can see they have pretty much gone from roughly 5 a month 2 years ago to more upwards of 45, 48 felony arrests a month. So that is not meaning that the crime wasn't there in 2017 or 18 or 19. It means that we are aggressively pursuing, apprehending the people who were committing it unabated in that time, if that makes sense. Miss Stephanie Chisholm put this together. The officers are very diligent, and the patrol lieutenant and our assistant chief are very diligent in making sure that our reports come in from the officers and that they are compiled, they were reviewed weekly, and they are compiled monthly to get this data. So it kind of shows you where we were, and it kind of shows you where we're at, and hopefully where we're going. So if there's any questions about this data or any other crime-related things, because I know that's been a discussion some here in the last couple of weeks, I'm here. So anybody questions or comments?
Chief, can I get a copy of that report?
Yeah, sure. I'll just give you this. I'll sit here and get it whenever you want.
Go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Good job.
Mayor, anything?
I'm good, thank you very much. Okay, next, Chief Chisholm is in, I think it's an electrical inspector's class tonight, so he's unable to be here. Taylor James, would you like to give a report for the parks?
Not really anything new to report.
Okay, well, we do have at least most of the fencing up around the skate park.
I did.
So there are some other things that need to be done, and I talked to Gerald today briefly, but I bet he's got some other things, so I failed to ask him about the top that we're supposed to put plywood on, because apparently the 2x4s that were put on there create a groove, and people's wheels get stuck in them, so they can't skate. And this is the platform at the top, so anyway. Next, I don't see Ms. Randolph Bettina. Is she here with Boys and Girls Club? I don't see her. So Planning Commission, Mr. Dan Boyce.
Good evening. Got a couple of items for council's attention this evening. First is a short report on the Community Development Institute project that was here 3 weeks ago. As I explained last time, economic and community development professionals from around Arkansas and Mississippi took a week out of their schedules to study and visit our city. They did their research, they visited here, talked to residents, analyzed and presented their findings to us, and now they're putting together a finished report. I want to take the time to acknowledge Anita McDaniel for her hard work in applying for and winning this very selective award. And she took several hours to give the CDI participants an extensive tour of Monticello. And second, I want to thank the residents of Monticello and the members of the City Council who came out to one or both of the public events. Frankly, we were hoping for more attendance from both groups, but I think we had good representation. The CDI participants gave us their findings, and we knew it was going to be tough because it was like a first impressions visit. So they had bad news and good news for us. The bad news was that while the city does have some good websites, by and large, our online presence is, to put it mildly, not very good. In trying to do their research on Monticello, the participants were annoyed by outdated websites, non-functioning websites, and lots of broken links. They were also frustrated when they were unable to find much information on our shopping and restaurant rankings. But they did offer us some good suggestions and plenty of motivation to improve our web presence. The good news is that when they actually got to Monticello, they were bowled over by the city. They were surprised and they were really impressed by our businesses, the town square, our retail shops, our neighborhoods, churches, and UAM. And again, they offered us some ideas on how to better maintain, improve, and publicize our good qualities to the world. I expect, as I say, the CDI's full report will be something we'll all want to study carefully, and the Planning Commission will certainly be intent on incorporating the ideas and advice of these professionals into our work. Okay, second item, less pleasant, is the census report that's coming out now, as you know. It shows that Monticello's population since 2010 has decreased by almost 11%. The county's population is down by more than 6%. We can dispute those numbers and we can complain that we were undercounted, and that's probably true. But folks, those are the official numbers. Those are the numbers that will determine our political representation and funding from state and federal agencies. They will be the numbers that prospective businesses or residents will see. Now, I vow to you tonight that the Planning Commission will do everything in our power to turn this trend around and to help make Monticello a thriving and growing city. There are already countless residents of Monticello and Drew County, like the wonderful Miss Lou and Dr. Osborne sitting here, who are already giving their time and energy to the welfare of the city. We're going to need the City Council to step up as leaders also to work with us. We've got our work cut out for us. There's no question about that. But together, I believe we can develop and show to the state and the world a city that is a positive place to do business, to work, to study, to worship, and to live. Thank you, my friends. I'll be glad to try and answer any questions.
Did you say the city population decline was 11%?
It is 10.83%, yes.
And then the county is 6%?
6.26 decrease.
Our specific number is 9,240.
9,240.
That's down from 9,467.
The number I saw was 8442.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, repeat that number again, Dan.
8442,
84.
the city population.
8,442?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you get it from the census?
Yeah. I've been wrong before. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I don't know.
It's
I mean, I was
the
just a municipally conference, and that's the number they gave
Oh,
us
is it?
there.
Okay.
So it's,
Well, I noticed a chart in the Gazette
Mhm.
that almost all of the cities in South Arkansas have lost population.
They have. Warren is down by 9%. El Dorado's down by 6%. I mean, everybody, of course.
Do you have the county number, Dan?
County is 17,350. And that's down from 18,509 10 years ago.
People moving away, what caused the difference?
we think people didn't get counted.
That's what I,
COVID was probably a large part of that. They did not fill out the census.
Okay, sorry for that way to end the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, is there any unfinished business?
Yes.
Did someone say yes?
Yes.
Is that Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna amend the agenda later.
Yes.
Okay. On new business, the first item we have is a resolution declaring 848 North Rose Street a nuisance. Can I get someone to introduce that resolution, please?
I'll introduce that by title only.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Reading by title only. Dr. Hilton, will you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Mark Planner?
Yes.
Craig Craig?
Yes.
Mike Quigley?
Yes.
Claudia Hartnett?
Yes.
Clarissa Case?
Yes.
Michael James?
Yes.
Al Peters?
Yes.
And Mr. Martin?
A resolution finding and declaring improvement situated on certain real property at 848 North Rose Street, in the city of Monticello, to be a nuisance order of nuisance to be abated in 30 days, authorizing abatement by the city and imposition of a limit for expenses incurred by the city for other purposes.
Any questions?
I drove by that property today, it's, whatever it is, it's here, I mean, bless their heart, it's a mess.
Okay. Okay, can I get a motion to pass this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Thank you. Dr. Hilton, will you call the roll, please?
Mark Planner?
Yes.
Craig Craig?
Yes.
Mike Quigley?
Yes.
Claudia Hartnett?
Yes.
Clarissa Case?
Yes.
Michael James?
Yes.
And Al Peters?
Yes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a resolution imposing a lien on 889 Maria Place. Can I get someone to introduce that, please?
I'll introduce it by title only.
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Hilton, please call the roll.
Mark Planner?
Yes.
Craig Craig?
Yes.
Mike Quigley?
Yes.
Claudia Hartnett?
Yes.
Clarissa Case?
Yes.
Michael James?
Yes.
Al Peters?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
Resolution certifying balance owed for lien purposes, Monticello, City Ordinance 756.
Any discussion or questions?
I've got a question, and this may pertain to all of Mr. Martin. Do we do a lien search to know if there are any mortgages or anything on the property?
No, our lien here would be superior to.
It would be superior, so,
Yes.
okay.
If it's the lender, yeah.
Well, then, I mean, that, we have to be more what we do.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
We would not have to pay off the property.
Okay, okay.
Move we accept this resolution.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Hilton, will you call the roll?
Mark Planner?
Yes.
Craig Craig?
Yes.
Mike Quigley?
Yes.
Claudia Hartnett?
Yes.
Clarissa Case?
Yes.
Michael James?
Yes.
And Al Peters?
Yes.
Okay, thank you all. We now have a resolution imposing a lien on 613 South Beauchamp. Can I get someone to introduce this resolution, please?
I'll again introduce my title only.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Hilton, will you call the roll?
Mark Planner?
Yes.
Craig Craig?
Yes.
Mike Quigley?
Yes.
Claudia Hartnett?
Yes.
Clarissa Case?
Yes.
Michael James?
Yes.
Al Peters?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Resolution certifying balance owed for lien purposes to Monticello, City Ordinance 756.
Any discussion or questions?
Move we accept this resolution.
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Hilton, will you call the roll?
Mark Planner?
Yes.
Craig Craig?
Yes.
Mike Quigley?
Yes.
Claudia Hartnett?
Yes.
Clarissa Case?
Yes.
Michael James?
Yes.
Al Peters?
Yes.
Thank you all. Next is a resolution to amend the resolution 21-45. Can I get someone to introduce that, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Barton, will you please read the resolution?
Resolution to amend City of Monticello Police Department General Fund budget for 2021.
And I'm just gonna add for this that, on the original resolution, I just marked through like I did there and put that number, but I wanted something to kind of back up so that you would know that we made that change. So,
the purpose of this resolution.
That's just strictly the purpose of it, that was to change the type of grant, funding.
I make a motion to accept.
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Hilton, will you call the roll?
Mark Tyner?
Yes.
Craig McGrath?
Yes.
Mike Wiggly?
Yes.
Claudia Hartnett?
Yes.
Larissa Hayes?
Yes.
Michael James?
Yes.
And Al Peters?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have the contract with Area Agency on Aging. This, this is a contract for services that we sign every single year with Area Agency on Aging. This allows us to, be funded partially by them. So,
This is basically an annual renewal, is that?
yes,
correct, Mayor?
yes,
Is
exactly.
this the transportation,
I'm sorry?
is this the transportation for the area of agency transportation?
No, the Senior Citizen Center.
Oh, okay.
This is just funds they provide to help operate the center. If we renew every year, is that
And
correct?
it is a contract, I mean,
Yeah,
there are
yeah.
services that, you have to provide in a certain way,
Right.
but we sign this every single year in order to have a working relationship with them. And it was due last month, and because we were having conversation about what to do, I left this off. Well, as a matter of fact, it's their contract, they should bring it to us every year, and they did not do that. I had to call and remind them that we needed another contract, so we either need to sign it or decide to do something else.
Mayor, were you aware of any changes or addendums in this contract versus what we've signed
We're not.
previously?
We're not, other than, on page 2, item D, attachments. When Mr. Barton read this year, the attachments have never been attached as far as I know, maybe they were, but we became aware of that, and so we asked that the ones, that are pertinent be added, and if there were none pertinent, that section in that contract would be removed. So we've, probably half of those attachments have been removed, and we have the appropriate attachments now.
So what do we, Mayor, we just need
I
a
need
motion.
permission to sign the contract.
Which I believe today,
I move. So move. Thank you. Can I get a second? Thank you. Dr. Hilton, will you call the roll?
Mark Tyner?
Yes.
Craig McGrath?
Yes.
Mike Wiggly?
Yes.
Claudia Hartnett?
Yes.
Larissa Hayes?
Yes.
Michael James?
Yes.
And Al Peters?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The next item is a memorandum of understanding with Bird Rides. Ms. McDaniel emailed you all about a week ago, with an email, with this memorandum of understanding attached to it. And she has done her due diligence, trying to give you all the information that you need about this if you have questions to ask. But we either need to sign this memorandum of understanding or not.
So this memorandum of understanding just kind of, does it excuse us from some liabilities? Mr. Gordon?
It does not, it doesn't really impose any liability on the city. Really, the only thing that I see the city is giving up or agreeing to in there is exclusive, right, to conduct this like business in the city also. And, I mean, that's that likely, but we certainly never had this type of business before, so I don't know that we have people knocking down our door to do that, but that is in that memorandum of understanding. We also point out that, it is one that either side can walk away from. Notice the, short notice, I think, in 30 days, 60 days, but it's a short notice to walk away from. So if we get two comments, it doesn't impose a liability on us, it doesn't relieve us of liability, it doesn't discuss it with
So are these scooters that will be stationed around the city and do some type of electronic payment, citizens can jump on them and ride it from here to there? You know what this is?
We assume that. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, not scooters, but with bikes, I've seen similar things in larger metropolitan areas. The one issue that those cities seem to all have in common with things of this nature, and they may have ironed those things out, I don't know, but it was the bikes were left in total disarray and what thrown down on the side of somebody's yard or something of that nature. They got through riding it and left it, so I don't know if this would be an issue, but.
well, they have GPS trackers now. So if they are, and when you quit, the way most of these work is when you quit using it won't work anymore. You have to, somebody else has to come along, pick it up and scan it or something with your phone and go through a pay process.
So I guess they will have a local office here with personnel
I
that.
don't think it's gonna be an office. I think it will be personnel maybe working out of your home. But they will have a couple, one job, two jobs, like, that'll come along with this. I don't know how many. That'll depend on how well it does, probably.
Is Chief Akers here?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure there are, but what would be your concerns on this? Impeding traffic or anything like that?
Well, I think that you would, I discussed it with Ms. McDaniel, briefly, and, before I gave an answer, I wanted to speak with the prosecuting attorneys to see what their thoughts were from a standpoint of legal issues, and they viewed it basically as the same as riding a bike, and that the laws would be consistent with that.
In the memorandum, I guess this is for Mr. Martin, it did have, I read a host ordinance agreement, but it seemed to have like an out for them. Is there any liability exposure to the city that you need to be aware of? There's not. I mean, I guess I was thinking in terms of, some of our sidewalks and everything, how in the best of repair. And the operation of that caused some type of accident resulting in injury. Does that put us in any kind of position? Although I think we usually talk.
Someone have a copy of that?
Yeah.
Tell me where that is, Mr. James.
I don't remember.
Number
exactly.
8. Number 8. Memorandum of understanding. I think it's what Mr. James is referring to.
Do we have a, Chief, I'm sorry, do we have a rule about, bicycle traffic, where they can ride, where they can't ride? Are they considered pedestrian, or are they allowed on the sidewalks, not on the sidewalks?
That, I think that a city may, by ordinance, say where they can and can't.
But we don't have one of the best of your knowledge?
An ordinance that says they cannot?
Yes.
I haven't seen one.
Okay.
Doesn't mean there's not one out there, because we've got a lot of ordinances that are out there. Mr. Barton may be the better source of that, but,
We did do some research and could not find anything.
Okay. Very good.
Where will they be located? I mean, where do you go to rent?
well, typically, the way I've seen them, you'll have a charging station that'll be somewhere on city property, and then that's kind of where they'll be charged back up. And then, as I understand it from Ms. McDaniel, they'll be picked up nightly via GPS, and they'll be brought nightly to the charging stations and charged, and people can access them there.
They're only gonna be operational from 4 AM to midnight.
To speak to Mr. James's question, the way I read paragraph 8, the way I read it before, is that Bird Rise is indemnifying the city for any claim that made against the city as a result of their issue. There's insurance for that. The only thing is that here, the city is not expecting that indemnification to extend to any negligence by the city. We don't get an indemnification, start with that question. I never viewed a hold harmless agreement as that strong of legal defense. What's your views on that?
Obviously, that's dependent on the particulars in terms of both the agreement and the underlying facts. I tend to, and part of the strength of that is, of course, whether it's backed up by liability insurance. If you've got a small business that you don't know much about, a big company, sometimes it needs community to work down to, but if they're providing liability insurance, that's not too bad.
If they're holding us harmless, your feelings are then that that's stronger than just a handshake agreement?
Sure. And particularly as long as we've got evidence of, that there's good standing liability insurance.
Was there any language in there that the city would be just a certificate holder of that policy, or would be named as an additional insurer?
That's fine. I think that we could do that. So we can ask for that. Yes.
Anything else? Okay, so pending our request, for your request, and that being offered, do I have your permission to sign the memorandum of understanding?
Yes, I would defer the request to the city attorney. If they deny, for whatever reason, and he still feels comfortable that it's a valid document to sign, then I'm good with that.
Okay. Dr. Hamilton, will you call for roll, please? I'm sorry? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Will you call for roll?
Absolutely. Mark Ham?
Yes.
Brandon Craig?
Yes.
Mike Ridley?
Yes.
Claudia Hartness?
Yes.
Elizabeth Case?
Yes.
Michael James?
Yes.
Al Petrie?
Yes.
Okay, next I'd like to amend the agenda for 2 items. One is to hear from Dr. Osborne about an additional RTP grant, and another is to hear from Mr. Evans about his property. Thank you, sir. Can I get a second? Thank you. All the, Dr. Hamilton, will you call for roll?
Mark Ham?
Yes.
Brandon Craig?
Yes.
Mike Ridley?
Yes.
Claudia Hartness?
Yes.
Elizabeth Case?
Yes.
Michael James?
Yes.
Al Petrie?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Osborne, I have prefaced your presence with a little bit of information for them during the finance committee, so maybe you don't have to go through the whole thing, but.
Okay, well, Mayor, thank you, council member. I guess I'm told not to talk about this, so I'll skip over last year's grant and where we're at. But essentially, we have $40,000 of unmatched money contributed to the trail right now, and we need to capitalize on every dollar we spend locally outside. And so 2 weeks ago, I spent some time tapping into some other resources, trying to figure out step 2 for the trail system. I ended up on a phone with some folks that told me I should be applying for the trail grant again because we're ahead of the curve. I thought, I'm a research scientist at the university, I get grants. When that grant contract's signed, I'm spending money. It doesn't work like that for RDOT. This has been a learning lesson for me. So the process is, but now we got it figured out and how this works. And so now we can plan for a year ahead, down the road in terms of spending. So I'm learning how this funding cycle is different than my research grants. And so with that said, I'm trying to do my best that we capitalize on the extra $40,000 that we have for this committed to the trail. I was told to apply for the recreational trail program grant again, and off the record, it's past due, and they tell me to send it in. So with that said, I'm here to say phase 2 of this trail is going to add almost 7 more miles. It's going to be one big loop. So the first phase is 3 small loops that are from a quarter mile to a half mile long, so easy walking trails from the Plantersville access. The second adds on to the back end of that, and it adds 7 miles. So now we're talking about the folks that are on bikes and the kids that can, bike around there. They can access more of that lake to fish when that time comes. But we're excited for this, and I'm just going to keep pushing forward on this. But I guess what I'm asking is phase 2 of this, the way it's budgeted from the original master plan we developed is $347,000, excuse me. So a 20% match is putting us at $69,000 roughly. We have 40 extra money that could be used towards that 69 match, so we're going to be 29 short. They're not going to give us the full 349. Last year they didn't. We asked for 190, they gave us 150. So if they ask for that whole thing, we're only 29,000 short, and I got a whole year to raise it, I can promise you. I already had people tell me if they need more, come let me know, we'll sign a check. So, but I'm gonna do all I can do not to go to the community for more money, the city for more money, or the community. I'm gonna keep pushing for grants, but I think it's worth the folks that had mentioned, told us to submit a grant, or probably have low influence. I think we should try to do our best if you guys are willing to let me push forward on this. I already have, the night I texted the mayor at 11 o'clock at night. I didn't think you were gonna answer, but I was writing that grant that night. So it's ready. All I need is a resolution signed to submit with it, and we can submit it as soon as we're ready if y'all are willing. So
I'll make a motion that we approve the application for the second grant.
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Hamilton, will you call the roll?
Mark Theine.
Yes.
Brady Craig.
Yes.
Mike Wickman.
Yes.
Claudia Harkins.
Yes.
Bruce Jones. Michael James.
Yes.
Al Pierce.
Yes.
Yay.
geez, that was easier than my students. No, just kidding.
Okay, and we'll get Mr. Martin to draw one up tomorrow, and as soon as he gets it to me, we'll sign it, and I'll get it to you.
Okay. You think this week, you think we'll be able to have it?
Mr. Martin, you think when you get that resolution?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rose.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Mr. Maurice Evans. Would you please come? Mr. Evans? And I have, so that you know, I hope you all received them. I emailed, and I received 2 letters this morning. Is it this morning or yesterday? Yesterday, okay. I sent them, I had Ms. Parker scan them, and I emailed them to you all so that you could read what I read, and he's here to make a request of the council.
Hello. I haven't worked since 4 weeks ago. I didn't have any money to help my home, but I've been helping my mother. She's 95. But I do plan on the 27th to finish getting my water lines. I already have my water lines. I already had it on. I tried to take a video of it, but I'm not computer savvy. But my water is on. I do have a meter, and I do have electricity, and we do come here weekly. 2 or 3 times a week. I have to take care of her as well. I'm saying I chose her instead of my home at this time because I didn't have the money to come here. I built at home, but I ran out of funds to finish it. I know that I can do better. I went around there with the fence, but I know that the tin doesn't look as good as it's supposed to. But I had to put that tin around there in order for some people to keep out because I have to have several break-ins. All I ask you is my grasses. well, originally I don't rain grass anymore. I've been taking care of that. But I did clean my Uncle Burns helped me to clean the front and the back. And I do have a shed behind there that I plan on tearing down, but I had no money until I get the money on the 27th. And I do have a way to come back and forth. But without money, I don't have any way at all. So what I'm saying is I have a job. I have to work from 7 to 7 in the seasonal. I'm working at a granary in Parkdale, CG&B, Consolidated Grain and Barge. And they like my work. I'm doing fine. My wife, she helps me out and everything. I have a legal license. I do better. I'm not on drugs or anything, which I couldn't be on drugs to get my job. All I ask you is that you turn over the condemnation. I read a letter saying that it may be started or start a couple days from now. All I want to do is to better my home. I know I'm staying in a place that the traffic is going to be seen. The traffic is going to be seen. We're going to be seeing my home. I have made it look a whole lot better when I was working. But when my mother, she turned 95. I chose to go back and forth with her, but I didn't have any money. I didn't have a job. When the pandemic came up, I didn't raise your hand if you got any. If you didn't get any kind of help at all. Raise your hand if you didn't get anything for unemployment. You know what I'm saying? I haven't got anything. All I do is help my mom. I have no way back and forth until now. Until the 27th, I'll get a full check, which will be like $700 each week. For 2 weeks, I get paid every 2 weeks. I already put my water line down. It's connected to a meter, and I talked to the lady. She said I have to pay $110. I will be able to pay that. I will be able to pay anything I have to do. We had already started paying to make it look better. And I plan on putting a fence around there and take that tin away from there and then put them back on top of my home. I recently found out that the wind was so rough that I had a little tin pulled up. I'm surprised because I screwed it down. And I fixed my floors. I have electricity. I have a meter. I got a phone. I tried to show Cedric, but it wasn't really able to see it. I'll ask you just y'all give me some more time.
What kind of time are you asking for, Mr. Evans?
Well, so the thing is, now I have money to fix my home. This is my first, out of 4 weeks, this year is my first job. And I plan on being there for a long time. But the first time I get paid on Friday, I plan on getting my meter. I already checked my water, I checked it today. It works. I already hooked it up. My sewage, of course, works. I never had no problem with that. And I plan on painting the home, which I have resources to paint it now. I had no resources at all. My wife, she's disabled. My mother, she's 95. I'm saying I didn't have no way back and forth, but now I do. And the time I'm asking is another 90 days. Because I had to work from 7 to 7. I took off to come here. But sometimes they'll let me off at 5 o'clock. I come here and I can make arrangements to make my home a little bit better. Then on the weekend, sometimes we do a split shift that I may have a whole day or half day off. I'll come back here, which I've been doing.
I have no problem giving you another 90 days.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hodges. And I remember, helping you out when I was working, when I was living over there at your, at your, business. I can't think of the name of it, but I know I stayed over there.
Mr. Burns, will you speak to the situation we're in and the process that we need to go through if we wish to take action on his request?
Where we are visually on this is this property, and Mr. Rogers can correct me if I mistake the facts here, but this property is in condemned. And there was an allowance for a period of time for it to be corrected, and then it, as of like the last couple of months, where it's been a report, I guess 2 months ago, before the council had not been corrected. And so at that point, the city property inspector was authorized by the status of prior action of the council to proceed. And he has taken bids, in order to clean this property up, which I guess would involve the destruction of the property. Is that correct, Mr. Rogers? And one thing that I asked Mr. Rogers to do, was to, and I think we got a bid, we got a contract, was to not take that action before time. So that we could have, I guess, our last appeal, to the council for an action that can't be undone happen. And so that's where we are tonight. The council has prior authorized the destruction and cleaning up of this lot, and bids have been advertised, bids have been taken. That's based on prior action of the council, which of course, the council took prior action, and the council can take. So further action to the end of prior action to the bid. So that's where we are, if that's of any help to anybody.
So we can amend the prior action to condemn the property.
The prior action was an action of the council, so you can take another action if that's what the authority of the council deems to be appropriate.
Well, I move to amend the prior actions of the council to condemn the property and give it to 91 days.
And to give him another 90 days? Okay, is there a second?
I got a question.
We have some, can we have some discussion on that? I'm all for allowing Mr. Evans the time, and I know it's hot, and I know he's gonna be limited with the weather conditions to get stuff done, but I would like to have, I'm all for the 90 days, but I'm like a 60-day with another 30-day extension. Just make sure that the improvements are ongoing and that we don't come up in 90 days and nothing be done. I'm for the 90, but I think we need, I don't think we need to, he needs to be held accountable that he is following what we are requiring him to do.
Progress. Or
Progress.
could we resolve that issue that you're talking about by having Mr. Rogers give us a report each month at the council meeting?
I think that would
We get that
if he
at
can-
30 days, we get that at 60 days, and we get that.
I think it's a great idea. If that can be done.
Mr. Rogers, would you like to speak to this?
Well, my question to that is, what action would we take if we get a negative report in 30 days? There's not much action. I don't really see the benefit of that. Mr. Evans, do you understand that if we allow for 90 days, there's going to have to be significant changes in that property?
Yes, sir. I have the refund, I have the resources now. I haven't worked but 4 weeks this year. But
Okay.
I'm gonna put everything I have into it.
Okay, you do understand that we just can't, every 90 days,
Yes, sir.
have this to come up and do again. Would have to be significant changes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're prepared and
Yes, sir.
able to do that? you
Yes,
feel
sir.
like, next time?
Yes.
Well, I think, it might be encouraging just to give a very brief progress report.
May I say
Maybe not
something?
every
I would be able to do what I have to do. I have to work. But, I wanna talk to my boss and ask him that he can let me off once or twice on the weekend.
Do you
I'm
work
work-
7 days a week?
I work 7 days a week, 7 to 7.
When
But-
first were you here down?
But see, I talked to him, he let me come here today, or he would work with me. I work in maintenance.
I have a question. I think at the last meeting also, there was, is this who you had altercation or you had
Yes.
about?
I read it.
Okay, so we're trying to get a report. Now what's gonna be y'all's relationship in order to get that report? Are you getting ready to talk about that?
Say it again.
Did you guys have some problems? Excuse me. Did you all have problems? It seemed like I recall there was a problem.
The problem is he wants to argue every little point and every little picture. And when he does this, he'll turn around, he'll go to the mayor's office, and then he'll come back to my office, and he'll say, the mayor said, or the mayor didn't say. Or he'll do vice versa. And it's put me in a predicament of not being able to speak with him one-on-one unless we have a body cam. You see what I'm saying?
So, but that's what I'm saying, we're asking for a report, so how can we work that out?
You've got current pictures, you've seen current pictures. I can simply go back the day before next city council and take current pictures and show you. For the 30 days, 60 day, and the 90 day. If that's okay with y'all. Now, I would like to address the motion. I don't think, Mr. Barton, we don't need to do away with the condemnation, do we? We just need to extend the time.
Exactly. I don't think you want to undo.
I'll take the motion.
Declaration of condemnation. If you did that, then you completely know.
Yeah. Okay.
What you want to do is you want to stay the cleanup of the property for a period of time.
And as far as reporting, I would suggest that I report to you and he reports to you. Not him reporting to me.
Okay, that he comes to
So,
reports to us.
Yeah, at next city council, if he needs to be here, you need to be here. These people, city council, don't report to me.
Basically, I make a suggestion, since we're not undoing the condemnation, we're simply stating its enforcement. Is instead of doing 90 days with these interim 30s, or what happens if we don't like it, before the 30 days, or don't like it, before the 60 days. I would think right now we would just want to continue the enforcement for a period of 30 days for the next council meeting. And then if it's satisfactory progress, then you can continue to roll that.
May I ask something? Like I said before, I'm working 7 days a week. The only thing I can do is work on the weekend.
That's fine.
Can you give me a chance at least, that's 2 days out of a week? And I'm not really supposed to be off today. I don't want to lose my job. I just got it. What I'm asking you is give me 60 or 90 days.
Mr. Evans, we're not going to give you the extended time. We want an accountability that you can come in once a month and update us, and then you've done what you promised that you would do, then you got another 30 days. Am I correct? We're just doing them in increments of 30. So we're not trying to reject that. We're just trying to give you the time. This is actually giving you the time to clear up the property. Okay?
Yes.
It's giving you time. It's just that we want you to report back at the city council meeting in September, and then October, and then by November, we expect to have everything that is required of you completed. And that's what you're agreeing to, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Evans, I understand you're working 7 days a week. And we don't want to cut, I know you want to work and make all the money you can, and you're losing money by coming here. Is there somebody, is the council willing to accept somebody reporting on Mr. Evans' behalf if he needed to continue to work? But your wife,
I'm gonna lose.
I don't want you to lose your job by coming here. But can your wife report on the status on a monthly basis?
I think Mr. Evans needs to be here each council meeting.
Okay, all right. That's it, council's, I'm just making a suggestion. I understand. Okay.
I think
didn't want him to lose money if it's impeding, he's losing income.
Understood, but he will make it.
Okay.
Mr. Evans, how long is your job, 7 days a week? Is this?
7 to 7 or either 8 or 9 when the trucks come in. I'm working at a granary in Parkdale, Arkansas.
Okay, so that's seasonal.
It's 7, yes, sir.
Okay.
But I'm planning on being there year round because I'm working in maintenance this year.
Okay. So once the harvest is over,
I still plan on working on there after harvest over. I've been putting everything into I got, and another person who's over us is leaving in 2 weeks because we had another person, Ernest Montgomery. He has blood clots and everything. He was an older guy. He was supposed to retire next year. He's down now. He's going to rehab. Then old man, we call him old man. He's like 66, and he said he put in 2 weeks notice. Now I'm working with Philip, and I'm working.
I guess what I'm asking, Mr. Evans, is once the peak season is over, the harvest.
Yes, sir.
We still have employment there, but maybe
I
not
plan
7 days a week.
I
which
plan
will free you up?
on. No, when we 7 days a week, it'll be 5 days a week, 8 to 3, or 7 to 3.
And we're gonna do our best, Mr. Evans, to stay in contact with you because we got a whole community of people that could probably help get this done. So, we're gonna help.
Okay, thank you.
So,
One more thing, I'm gonna get a phone the way I can contact you all. I'm not computer savvy. I'm smart, but I'm not computer savvy. You know, that way I might can get some input on y'all's decisions.
I think you just
So just
need,
need clarification on what
I
your
think
motion
you just
is.
need to come to council meeting. You
Yes,
don't, you don't need a phone to communicate with us.
No,
Just come to the council
I'm saying-
meetings every month, and that'll be
Yes.
good enough.
I'm trying to, yes.
Okay,
I
so we're gonna amend Ms. Pace's agenda, motion to stay the condemnation, but require a report from Mr. Evans and Mr. Rogers every 30 days until, council determines that not enough work is being done, or until the 90 days is up.
Okay. May I say something?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers, what does he specifically need to do to increase the appearance of his property?
If you looked at the pictures, there's metal coming off the back of the trailer. The floor had caved in the back of the trailer. The metal that's coming off the roof.
Mr. Evans, Mr. Evans,
There has been no water to the property. It's got, if you look at the ordinance, it's everything that's unhealthy, unsanitary, unsightly, uninhabitable. So.
I understand.
Paint goes a long ways. Metal on the roof goes a long ways. Fix the trailer part up. Underpinning that looks nice.
he does have to have utilities, is that correct?
And utilities make it habitable.
Okay.
I mean, when you drive by it, if you would allow your family to live in it, if you'd allow your kids to be out there and playing, sincerely, it's all up to you, not me.
Yes, I understand that. And to respond to your question, no, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, so we've amended Ms. Pace's motion. Do we all remember what that is?
Yes.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Hilton, will you call the roll, please?
Mark Knight.
Yes.
Craig Gray.
Yes.
Mike Whitney.
Yes.
Lonnie Hartnett.
Yes.
Bruce Pace.
Yes.
Michael James.
Yes.
Al Peters.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Evans, you have 30 days to make some improvements and be here and to report to council. And then you'll have another 30 if progress is deemed enough by council.
Can
supposed
you tell
to.
Mr. Evans the date of our next council meeting, so he knows?
It is
Fourth Tuesday?
the fourth Tuesday of every month, so it'll be September 28th.
I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've got to go home, so I need some rest.
Thank
Your
you.
motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all.